my fellows, thanks so much for stopping by today's video. I hope you're doing well. In a couple of videos ago, I asked if you guys would be interested in seeing a Haworthia Collection video, and some of you guys said yes, so here it is. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my entire Haworthia collection and talk a little bit about them, as well as share some care tips with you guys towards the end. And I may or may not have a little game for you at the end, so if you're interested in that, definitely stick around. But before we get started, if you're new around here, my name is Grace and I post plant videos every week, so if you're interested in planty content like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out when next week's video is out. Okay, so what are Haworthias exactly, and why are they also known as the jewels of the succulent world? Well, Haworthias are native to South Africa. They're a type of succulent that are cousins to the aloe vera. There are many varieties of Haworthias, but my favorites are the ones with windows, which are these translucent glass-like surface on the tips of their leaves. And they're also known as jewels of the succulent world because their clear bulbous leaves gleam in the sunlight. Like many others, I'm a huge fan of this type of Haworthia. I think they're absolutely beautiful. Plus, they are super easy care, so you just can't go wrong. Now that you guys know a little bit more about these Haworthias, if you didn't already, let me share with you the Haworthias that I have in my collection in order of oldest to newest. In my most recent underrated plants video, I showcased these two Haworthias in there, and I mentioned that I bought these two at the same time from succulentsalesaustralia.com, but I was mistaken. I actually didn't get this from there. The one that I got from the same seller was actually this one here, but yeah, I thought I'd clarify that because it's going to be quite confusing as I go through the Haworthias in my collection. But yeah, let's start off with these two that are actually the oldest in my collection. I got these back in July 2019 and they arrived bare rooted, so I potted them up in cacti soil in these little terracotta pots that I got from Bunnings. They're known to be slow growers, so it may not look like they've done very much, but I can definitely tell that they've started to fill out the terracotta pots a little bit more compared to when I first got them. I'm not going to be super clear on the scientific names or the exact varieties of these Haworthias because a lot of them have been hybridized, so I'm just going to share the names on screen of exactly what they're called when I purchased them. This one here is labeled as Haworthia Extra Shine Big Window C5, and if you are interested in this particular one, I believe it may still be available on succulentsalesaustralia.com, but yeah, I'll try and link it down below if you are interested in this particular variety. So this one here has a little bit more of a pointy tip, as you might be able to tell, and it's also got little fuzz poking out the sides of the leaves. It doesn't look as glossy as some of the other Haworthias that I'll showcase in a minute, but I'm actually a huge fan of this rosette shape, and as you can tell, it's still flowering. The spikes have progressed since I last updated you guys on this one, and that's kind of what the blooms look like. There'll be a couple more in here that are far more progressed in terms of the blooms, so I'm going to showcase that as we go along. Being my first Haworthia, I'm really proud of this one. It looks so healthy and plump and juicy. Definitely one of my pride and joys in terms of my Haworthia collection. So on to the next one. I did get this in the same shipment as the very first one, and I'll insert a photo of what this looked like when I first got it. You can clearly tell that it has grown quite a little bit. This one here is called the Haworthia Comptoniana LS198. I might have butchered the name on that one, but this is what it was sold to me as. It initially came a little bit more green, but as you can tell, it did get a little bit more purple, and that's because of sun stressing. So the thing about these Haworthias is that they do look better when they're more green because it just looks a little bit more glossy and juicy if it was in a green color. Even though they're succulents, they don't necessarily need really bright direct light because it will tend to sun stress them and turn them a little bit purple. To ensure that they remain green and juicy and plump, most Haworthia enthusiasts or growers actually grow them in shade or indoors in bright indirect light. One of the features that I really like about this variety, the Comptoniana, is that they have these little veins that look quite striking. They look a little bit electrical, kind of like lightning to me. And I think it gives a little bit more dimension to the juicy leaves. Next up, I've got these two Haworthias that I got from Newtown Garden Market. And I'll start with this one here. This is a standard Haworthia Cooperi. And the way that you can tell is that it's got this rosette formation, and it's also got these sort of rounded leaves that are a little bit more glossy and shiny. I'll insert a photo of what this looked like when I first got it. This one doesn't look like it's grown too much, to be honest, as compared to the other two. So I'm not sure if I'm doing anything different with it. I give it exactly the same care. But maybe it's just that this one grows a little bit slower. I did pot this up a little bit lower than the other two, so you can tell that it's, you know, sunken a little bit lower, and that's actually okay because of the windows. It lets in more light, so it doesn't matter if they are actually planted a little bit lower into the soil. And this one here is flowering for me at the moment. As you can tell, the flowers are a little bit more progressed than the other ones, but they all kind of look the same. And I mentioned before in my other video that I am not very confident in pollinating these guys, but you know, if you guys have any tips for me on how to do that, definitely leave them in the comments below. And the other one that I got from Newtown Garden Center is this one here. It has two flower spikes actually, so this one's an overachiever. This is what it currently looks like. It is a little bit lopsided. As you can tell, it probably was stretching towards the light or something. I'm thinking of potentially repotting this one so that I can move it up a little bit and get rid of some of the older leaves. But you can definitely tell that this one has grown quite a bit. There are a lot of new leaves compared to before. But one of the things that I do wonder is if I'm underwatering this one. I'll insert a photo of what this looked like when I first got it. It was really tight and the leaves are super thick and plump and juicy. But compared to this one here, it looks like the leaves haven't really grown as plump as it was. So it could be the case that I am underwatering it, because I do err on the side of underwatering my succulents just to prevent it from any root rot or things like that. So I need to keep a closer eye on this one and try to restore it to its former glory. And maybe I'll do an updated video a couple of months down the road just to keep you guys posted if you guys are interested. Are you guys enjoying the video so far? If you are, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps me know that I'm doing a good job. And while you're at it, leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think of Haworthias. Are you a fan of them? Are you not so much a fan of them? Let me know. It looks like I purchased my Haworthias in pairs or something, because the next two are from Collector's Corner that I got from eBay. Granted, I didn't get them at the same time, but they are from the same seller. So why don't I start with this one right here, which I did unbox in a haul video. I don't remember which one, but I'm gonna link it up in the cards above and in the description box below, because when I first got it, it was a beautiful green color. It was super plump, super juicy, but I must have underwatered it because you can tell that it's kind of sunken in a little bit, as you can see from this leaf right here, and it's also turned into a little bit more of a maroon shade. Another thing that I wanted to highlight as well is this particular variety also has these beautiful veination to it, which makes it look a little bit alien-like and a little bit out of this world. This is the Haworthia Comptoniana var Emilie. I'll put the name on the screen because I probably butchered that. But in any case, this one here has also put out a flower spike. I believe it has, oh wait, what? Guys, it looks like there are two seed pods. I don't know if you can tell. So one down here and one up here. I don't know if it's pollinated itself or it's pollinated with another Haworthia, because a couple of them are blooming at the same time, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this and I'll let you know, because it kind of looks like it's a seed pod. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. And here I am asking you guys for tips on how to pollinate them when they are pollinating themselves. This is another reason why I love these Haworthias so much. They're super easy and they just kind of take care of themselves. Anyway, so back to this one here. I'm actually, like I mentioned earlier, not a huge fan of the purple coloration on these. They look much better when they're green. So this is another one that I'm going to be keeping a closer eye on because I do want to restore it to what it looked like before, which is a nice green, and also have it a little bit more plump. Now moving on to this Haworthia Cooperi var retusa, which is very similar to the first one that I showed in the pointier leaves and also a little bit of the fuzz, but this one here is actually a lot fuzzier. I'm not sure if it's going to come up on camera, but you might be able to see the little fuzz on the leaf. It's also got little windows on the tips of the foliage, but because it's so fuzzy, you might not be able to see it as well. And also, you might be able to tell that this has a couple of rosettes. It's not just the one head like the others that I showed before. I believe this has given me maybe 2 pups in the back here, which I might actually split them up into separate pots and give them a little bit more room to grow because it does look a little bit cramped in there. So that's something I might do after this video. I haven't personally propagated my Haworthias before, but apparently there's several ways you can do it. They can be propagated by leaf, which I'm not game enough to try that, but they can also be split. So for example, with this one, it's put out some pups. You can actually split them off and pot them up separately and multiply your plants that way. And of course, you can also pollinate them and hybridize them and things like that, so you can grow them from seed as well. Alright, so I've got 2 more Haworthias to show you guys. I got both of these from the Plant Collectors Fair earlier this year in about April, I want to say. And so let me show you this one here first. This is the Haworthia Mochi Suishu. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I definitely see the mochi on this one. It is super rounded and really plump and glossy. It looks really good. I just absolutely love the way that it looks. So yeah, I'm just making sure that I'm not underwatering this one and taking good care of it. And then the other one is this right here, which is, what does it say? Haworthia Konoha. Probably something from Japan, perhaps, because I know that these are very popular in the likes of Japan and Korea and China. They're highly coveted and there are a lot of collectors for these types of succulents. But anyway, this is the last one that I have in my collection to show you. It is similar to the mochi that I showed before, but this one actually doesn't get as plump or juicy as the other one. This is actually relatively flat. And this here is also planted deep into the soil, and like I said before, that's entirely fine because they have these windows that allows the light to penetrate through to the green parts of the leaves to help them photosynthesize. Growth pattern is very symmetrical on this one, which I'm a huge fan of, and it's something that I'll be looking to maintain. It's also put out a flower spike, and doesn't look like it's pollinated on this one, but I might put it closer to my other flowering Haworthias, and hopefully they can self-pollinate themselves. We'll see how that goes, fingers crossed. So that's all the Haworthias that I have in my collection. I hope you enjoyed so far, but now let's get on to the care tips if that's what you're interested in. As I said, they are super easy care. They don't really require much attention. They don't need too much sunlight. Bright and direct light is great for them. You don't want to give them any less light than that because they may stretch out or etiolate, and that kind of ruins the look of the tight rosette that makes a good Haworthia. I did try to grow them under grow lights before, and that works equally as well, so that's something to consider if you are looking into getting them and you don't necessarily have the light suitable for them. And when it comes to watering, they can be top watered, they can be bottom watered. It doesn't really matter as long as you are not over watering them, because they have very thick fibrous roots that don't really like to sit in water. So make sure you have it in a chunky, well draining soil. and water it as when needed. The rule of thumb when it comes to watering these Haworthias is just to observe the foliage. So for example, if you know that it's a really juicy plump one and it looks a bit deflated, then it's time to start watering it. But like I said, it's a bit of a balancing act. I'm still trying to understand the watering needs for some of my Haworthias without going overboard and overwatering them all at once. So you know, take your time and slowly increase your watering frequency and kind of monitor how they're going. Personally, I water my Haworthias about once a week generally, but in the warmer months, I'll try to water it a little bit more frequently, and in the cooler months I will hold back on watering. But yeah, that's about it. They don't really require anything else. They don't need high humidity, warm temperatures, or anything like that. They may benefit from a little bit more airflow, but like I said, that's not something that's really necessary. So overall, super easy care succulent. If you made it all the way till the end, I've got a special treat for you. I've prepared a planty riddle if you want to play along. So pause this screen and leave me your best guesses below, and I'll let you know if you got it right or not. Thank you so much for playing along, and if you want to see more planty content, feel free to check out these videos right here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay mellow, my fellows.